So before we get into this video, I just quickly wanted to say that I will be spoiling pretty much everything that happens of significance in the second episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if you couldn't already tell. So basically, if you haven't seen it yet and you still want to, then don't watch this video. Click off it, watch the episode, come back to me, and then hear my professional opinions. Alright, so to those of you who are still here, hi. I'm just gonna say this from the beginning, this episode was fucking amazing. It was so jam-packed with action, intimate moments, really intense moments. It was really fucking dense, and I loved that. It's very unusual for the second episode of a show to have this much content in it, because usually they work as setup, which is kind of what happened the first two episodes of WandaVision, but this show is just straight into the action, and I fucking love it. It's kind of similar to season 4 of Game of Thrones. Episode 2 in that season did not hold back. But anyways, let's just dissect this episode from the beginning. So first of all, the introduction scenes with John Walker, the new Captain America, was really good. This whole first scene was supposed to portray him as human and relatable, and it succeeded. It showed him that he's just a kid trying to do the right thing, trying to give hope to all these people. And then later on, we hear that he's not just a nobody. That was one of my questions from last episode, and it was answered. He's a fucking beast. He's strong as hell, he's brave, he's very similar to Steve Rogers, except he's not Steve Rogers. And the thing is, I like that they don't just portray him as annoying. Like, yes, that's what he seems like on the outside to Bucky and Sam, but he's not really. He's just trying to do his job. He's trying to be friendly towards them, and they have way too much personal stake in this whole situation that they just don't listen to him. They're used to just being free, they're used to being Avengers. Thing is, he's doing what he thinks is right, just like Sam. Hopefully people don't see him as too annoying. I mean, we'll see what happens later on, but as of right now, he's just a guy trying to do his best to fill these massive shoes. He's a realistic character. Oh, but my favorite part in this first scene is during the interview when he says that Steve Rogers felt like a brother to him, and the scene just cuts over to Bucky watching this on the TV, and he looks so fucking hurt. Anyways, let's move on to the best part of this entire episode, and probably the entire show. I'm psychic. Bucky and Sam. I love their dynamic so much. The chemistry between these two actors is so fucking good. They just make sense together. There's just some actors that just connect the puzzle with each other. And this is what the MCU has created. And they're funny as hell. Compared to WandaVision, the comedy in this show is already so much better, in my opinion. Comedy is very subjective. But yeah, besides just the wizard joke that we knew beforehand they'd shown that clip, but it was still funny, I really enjoyed that scene. But then we have the therapy scene, which is just perfect in this situation. Again, these two characters just fit together. It's not just the actors combining, it's also the characters. They just have so much in common, but still are different enough that we care about the conflict. But just things like them having to move closer together and the staring contest, it's not those things in of themselves that are funny, it's the actors. They have so much charisma. And I'm fucking in love. But it's also just so deep. They're both grumpy because they have a hard time moving on. And this is what I feel like is the character arc that they're going to be sharing together. They each have their own personal arcs being set up. You know, Bucky has his whole making amends thing, and Sam has the whole living up to Captain America thing. Then they also have this like dynamic together that just... ooh. There's so much history, there's so much bitterness, there's so much bickering in it. They're already best friends, basically. And I just know that they're gonna be proper best friends by the end of this, and I'm excited. However, I probably would have liked a bit more Bucky psychology in this episode. We didn't really see much more about his mental state, we didn't see his nightmares, we didn't really see him trying to make amends. That's okay, I'm sure it'll come in the next episode. Just like how there was more focus on Bucky last episode, this episode there's a bit more focus on Sam, and I appreciate it. Because Falcon in this episode was great. We understand perfectly this burden that he's had to carry. And we, like Bucky, don't really agree with him giving up the shield, but he says it himself. He did what he thought was right, and even said that Steve probably wouldn't understand it either. That's true. Sam is just not the same person as Steve, and I like that. I don't just want Sam's Captain America to be the exact same as the Captain America we knew before. That wouldn't be fun. He's also just hilarious in this episode. Anthony Mackie is a funny guy. My favorite comedy moment from just him alone was with that kid. That was brilliant. And when I watched that, I was like, oh, wow. There are some race implications. Do you think they'll expand upon this, or was it just a quick joke? But oh no. My dreams have come true. They're leaning on some social commentary. They're talking about racism. There were people in my comments last video that wanted this, and I was like, yeah, that would be fucking great. but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know if they have the balls to do that just yet, but they do, and I salute you, Marvel. There was that scene where the policemen were asking only Sam for his ID. They were asking Bucky, the white man, whether Sam was bothering him or not, and I saw somewhere that it happened in Baltimore. Fucking brilliant. I just love so much that they have the guts to do this. There are so many people out there who just don't like social commentary. If you talk about racism, they paint you off as an SJW, as if that's a bad thing. But yes, I'm just loving that they're actually taking risks, and I'm excited to see how further this goes. However, right before this, there is that scene with Isaiah, which is super fucking intense. I don't know if you've ever had a scene just like this one in the MCU before. It was beautiful acting, it was just great writing, it was intense, the music was on point. It gave me goosebumps. They're really just trying to set themselves apart. I love it. And finally, I'm excited for Zemo. That shit's gonna be really cool. His theme at the end was just so cool and so ominous. I loved it, and I just want Zemo to be done a little bit better than he was in Civil War, and I really think they can do that with a more intimate story and more screen time. However, those were my initial thoughts on this episode. I can officially say that I'm so excited for this show. But tell me down in the comments what you guys think of the show so far. I know we're only 2 episodes in, but that's the 3rd already, so there's enough to talk about. However, I'll be back tomorrow for a review of the Zack Snyder Justice League, so look forward to that. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.